After arriving in the city of Delta with the hunter named Heuga, you both are in a stable, your new companion carefully sniffing on your clothes, while Heuga shows you a wall where 4 weapons are hanging.
So, I myself am a Cleaving Saw wielder. This weapon is the most versatile one. The ripping cleaves inflict heavy wounds on soft parts and can break through armor plates after some consistent hits. But maybe you're a heavy mace user. The long handle allows to switch between short and swift strikes or long and strong slams. It's perfect to break bones and horns and give beasts a heavy concussion. Or do you prefer to be more precise and technical with your strikes? The Great Rapier rewards well-timed deflects by using the big guard on the side, piercing the skin to inflict damage deep inside any beast. And last but not least, a true classic, the Great Sword. Wide sweeps with a perfect balance allow you to run across the fields, using the momentum to hurt beasts and stick to them throughout the hunt. So, with what weapon will we begin training?
You stand up and reach for the Cleaving Saw.
Ah yes, a perfect choice, young hunter. Having a favorite weapon makes you a good hunter. But remember, weapons are tools for the hunt. So learning about your prey and using the right tool will reward you greatly.
Heuga pats you on the shoulder and walks by.
Let us begin training.
In Titans of Teersa we will have 4 physical damage types. There also will be elemental damage types too. Let me first explain the drop rates in the game. Instead of rolling some percentile numbers for drops, we're gonna look first at the damage types dealt to the beast. So it depends on what damage type you're using in the hunt. For example, you want more bones from a beast to finish your armor set. Using a heavy mace will shatter bones and horns, but a great rapier will almost do no damage against these parts. Keeping the materials you want undamaged increases the drop rate for these materials. That will just lower the frustration and the amount of hunts. I prefer longer hunts that reward prepping and knowing the beast you're hunting. Instead of spamming 6 hunts that take between 5 and 10 minutes, plus eating, restocking the items, and then at the end hoping to get the item drop you wanted. Also, one important thing, here are the controls. They're not set in stone, but I'm quite happy with how they feel. I could not test it because there's no game right now, but in my experience playing Monster Hunter and Soulsborne games and other action RPGs, this feels quite intuitive for my smooth brain. So back to the damage types. Starting with the rip or ripping damage, most weapons will not have the ripping damage type. The only one who will be king is the Cleaving Saw. The Cleaving Saw has a rage meter that can be built up by taking or dealing damage. You can use the special action to go into a sawing motion. The best opportunity to use this skill will be a beast that has fallen or is trapped. This attack will have high break damage, meaning it will be easy to cut tails, saw off horns, or to get rid of bone platings on a beast. If there's nothing to break, the Cleaving Saw will just tear into the flesh of the prey and cause heavy blood loss, exhausting the beast faster. Pros and cons for the Cleaving Saw. The pros are, it's always a useful damage type in any hunt. Breaking body parts easily, exhausting the beast due to blood loss, breaking away armor and claws, making the hunt easier the longer it takes. The cons are lowering the drop rate for most materials, needing to resharpen the weapon more often, not having a special attack at the beginning of the hunt, and decreasing the drop rate heavily for blood and flesh. Here are the weapon attacks for the Cleaving Saw. These sketches drove me nuts while creating them. So let's start with like the basic attacks. We have a unsheath attack, we have a downswing, side swing, pressing the right trigger or the R2 for upswings and down cleaves, And then also having like advanced attacks that are like performed after a certain attack or a button combination. And here are some full-on combos you can perform with the weapons. Some attacks have like a final attack move, so you can't like chain them together. But it will be possible to have like your own combo style in this game to be more versatile in the hands. Okay, a monster is down, so I can perform a big combo, or I can like squeeze in a little combo to kind of like do a little bit more damage instead of like just spamming one attack over and over again. Continuing with the blunt or bludgeoning damage type. This type will show up in some weapon combos, but the heavy mace is the only weapon that will only do blunt strikes. The long handle on this weapon is a special action, switching from a short grip to a long grip. I'm thinking of Bloodborne for example, giving it fast and slow attacks depending on the situation. The heavy mace will mostly break bones, horns, claws and teeth, reducing the beast's damage output and also giving it a strong concussion. A concussed beast will make attacks randomly in any direction, not really targeting the hunter. Continuing the strikes on the head can result in the beast dropping unconscious to the ground, laying down for a huge opening and then waking up and recovering from the concussive state at the end. Pros and cons for the heavy mace. The pros are it has only one damage type. It can easily break horns and bones. It has a very high drop chance for hair, hide and skin, giving a beast a concussion, striking it also unconscious for a huge opening, and it needs less maintenance, aka resharpening or repairing. The cons for the heavy mace are a very low drop rate for horns and bones. The heavy mace have high stamina usage on many attacks. It has a slower movement due to the weight. It's mostly useful on heads and bony parts, meaning targeting other body parts will be not as effective as targeting the head. And here are some weapon attacks for the heavy mace. I made way too many, and I didn't even have the time to make weapon combos. Now switching from blunt to pierce or piercing damage, the Great Rapier is the best choice to puncture a beast and rewards knowledge and timing. The special action of the Great Rapier is the Big Knuckle Guard, protecting both hands and allowing to deflect small attacks and punish the beast if the timing is right. But not all attacks can be deflected, resulting in taking damage but reduced due to the guard. The Great Rapier has the easiest time to inflict damage inside the beast, slipping past flesh and bones to damage organs. Exhausting the beast not as fast as the Cleaving Saw, but adding a benefit to the damaged organs. Damaged lungs will result in shorter durations where the beast is in a stampede or decrease the strength of their screams. Other organs like a flame sac that stores gas or other easily flammable materials will be useless after breaking or inflict damage to the beast if used. Pros and cons for the Great Rapier. The pros are many damaging types, disabling status and elemental attacks, very high drop rate for bones and horns, slowly exhausting the beast, reducing stampede time, screams and elemental attacks. And the cons for the Great Rapier are a very low drop rate for organs, it's very knowledge and timing reliant, it's prone to heavily armored body parts, and it has a very hard time to break body parts. Sadly, I haven't done any moves currently for the Great Rapier, so they will come in later. And the last damage type is slash or slashing damage, mostly utilized by the true and classic Greatsword. I wanted a twist for the Greatsword. Instead of a slow, lumbering big damage dealer, the special action for the Greatsword is a sprint, still dealing heavy damage, but also sticking to the beast at all time. The attack starts slow, but will build up speed with every swing, dealing a lot of damage in a short time if the beast is prone. Also, having a long reach makes it easy to hit tails and wings. Disabling attacks and flight, and cutting off tails causes a heavy, rapid blood loss. The only thing to worry about are horns and other hardened beast parts. Striking them results in losing sharpness and reducing the Greatsword's damage very fast. Pros and cons for the Greatsword. The Greatsword has Also many damage types like the Rapier, a long reach, breaking tails and wings, high drop rate for bones and horns, exhausting the beast very fast if a tail is cut, sprinting and sticking to the beast at all time. The cons for the greatsword: a very low drop rate for hide and skin, a very fast stamina depletion if sprinting, slow starting attacks, prone to horns and armored body parts, making the weapon dull. I also didn't do any attack sketches for the greatsword. I wanted to get this video done and start working on other videos, mainly the beast that roam Terza, which is the main focus of this project. Guys, making new weapons is hard, and coming up with new attacks for existing and well-known weapons is even harder. It kinda knocked me out making all these attacks. It worked out well what I did, but damn. It was like a year ago I did the same stuff with the flail, and it kinda killed the whole project completely. So instead of this happening again, I will just work on it if I feel good and I'm ready to tackle it again. Let's talk some concept design I made for the weapons. I always wanted a flail in Monster Hunter, a blunt weapon on a chain that can be deflected with a backswing with a shield, for some really cool flashy combos. But that was quite hard to replicate in my small room without knocking something over or breaking a fucking screen. So I put the weapon on hold. I still want to make it, and I want a flail to be existent in Terza. For the special I was thinking about a block. From this blocking position you can put extra things into the hollowed part of the flail, like extra tar or something else to easily ignite for a short time. Very reminiscent of like weapon oils. Here are 7 weapon types I wanted to make. A dual wielded axe that will function as like climbing gear to get on top of monsters. Also a giant spiked shield to punish the monster attacking you. The flail that I already mentioned. And the long spear that would be used to anchor itself into the ground, countering charging beasts for big damage by taking a small amount yourself. And the 3 weapons that already made the cut: the Cleaving Saw, the Heavy Mace and the Greatsword. So I started making weapons for the beast named Brukta, and I noticed that I just was making Monster Hunter weapons without any like clear point why. And I kinda needed something to make kind of a difference instead of being a one-to-one clone. I did a sheet to show the Cleaving Saw attacks, and it was a mess to look at. For me personally, who made it, it was very simple to see what it was. But having any buttons to map the attacks onto made it kinda hard to think about any attack combos at the end. As you can hear, it starts to stack up very fast, from oh yeah nice, I want to do some weapon designs, all the way to okay, now I need button inputs that I need to perform in a combo, and how does it look like, how does it feel like, is it a straight ripoff or can I make something different that feels unique enough to not be a ripoff from a completely other game. And yes, I'm taking huge inspirations from the greatest games in my opinion. Monster Hunter and Soulspawn, also Dragon's Dogma 1 and 2 have some sick weapon attacks, and same goes for For Honor and The Witcher. Some of the attacks will look similar because there's no other way to swing a sword differently without looking silly. But I'm trying to make them feel as unique as possible without making them feel too fantastical or unrealistic. Like I already said, I want to make a low fantasy world. So let us continue. I took a break from weapons, then I came back and I decided to limit myself to only 4 weapons. These 4 weapons will represent the 4 main physical damage types, and I changed the long spear into a rapier. Because it's for me more fun to design a rapier than a spear. Making the spearhead is a lot of fun, but then going into like the staff design, it is painfully boring but also pretty difficult at the same time. So this is my thought process how I made those 4 hunks of iron at the end. Sorry that this video took me so long. Making all these weapon attack animations was nice at first, but got very tedious and sucked out a lot of my brain power at the end. And at that time I really craved to sketch more beasts for the neighboring areas around the snowy highlands, and I'm almost done with the designs. So 4 areas, 4 new creatures that I can present. Images and videos again are from Pexels, sounds are from Pixabay, and the music is again from Vindsvept. Thank you again for watching. I'm still working on my fucking damn coffee page. And for the next video we will encounter a peaceful giant who is roaming around the little city known to Delta. So get some ink and paper because we will explore the ecology of the